Hey guys, what's happening? Thanks for tuning in, coming back and watching. I appreciate it. I hope you're doing well. Staying safe, taking good care of yourself. I'm trying to do the same here. And for those of you that are new, I'm Jim. It's nice to meet you. Thanks for coming by. I make videos about how to edit your photos using different software products. I love color. I love getting creative in the digital darkroom and having fun. And this video is all about that, color, having fun, and playing around in the digital darkroom. I'm in Luminar 4 today, and I've got a sunset from the Texas coast, and it started out like this. Here's my base photo. The color wasn't really popping, and I love the clouds. I love the incoming surf, the little spots of, I'm going to say seaweed. That's not the right term, but whatever that stuff is that comes in. There's some of that on the beach. Lots of spots in the sky, a few spots in the sand that I removed. But anyway, that's my final photo. And I thought what I would do is walk through this and show you what I did and talk about some of the tips and some ideas and some things to think about as you edit this kind of photo. So let me reset these and we'll get going. Okay, here's my base unedited photo. You can see there's before and after. It is the same. I've just turned off all the filters except for light. I actually reset that, and I'm going to walk through what I did there. I normally start with smart contrast just because I like it, so I went to about 33. Then in this case, I lifted the shadows. I lifted them about 36, and the highlights, I should say. And then I lifted the shadows even more to about 42. And that was really just trying to get a little bit more evenly distributed light in the photo. So if you look at the before, like a lot of landscape, this is a seascape, but landscape category, those photos, because the sky is where the light is, it's going to be generally brighter, and the foreground is going to be darker. So the highlights and shadows work there kind of help that. Although normally you may be taking the highlights down. I actually lift them in this photo, and I'll do another thing later to kind of show you what I did there to really make those highlights kind of pop. A couple of things really, but I wanted to even out the light. I feel like I've got a good starting spot now. Now, the thing I notice about this is because this is still fairly blue in the photo, you may be inclined to come over here and move the temperature. And here's how I think about this, and that is the thing that I know doesn't need to be blue, like the clouds could be kind of blue, the sky could be blue, the water could even take on some of that blue hint. But to me, the sand is kind of blue. And this is not a Dr. Seuss book, so I know there's no blue sand. So that's kind of what I use as a guide. So I basically just pull this over, something about like that. We'll call it 65-41. All I'm trying to do is get the sand to where it doesn't look like it's got a blue tint to it. And so there's the before and the after. I brightened it, balanced it out, but also color temperature to me is a really big deal. I play with it in probably just about every photo. There's always minor tweaks you can do that are going to help, but also I tend to do a lot of major tweaks. In this case, it was kind of a minor tweak. I just warmed it up, but basically what I was using as my guide there was the sand. Blue sand didn't look good, and this sand looks to me like that's about what the color of the sand should be. I could probably go a little bit warmer, but I'm going to do some things to color which are going to warm up the scene, so I'm going to leave it like that for now. But that's the first thing I was thinking about in this photo is fix the sand color, balance the light. Okay, next was AI Enhance, and here was just a straight 50 on AI Accent. I love this slider. As I said many times, I call it the easy button. It does a lot to a photo, so you have to be careful, but I think in this case it worked really well, going about 50, really brighten the scene, help me more evenly distribute the light, and now I'm really liking this. And I do that a lot with the light and the AI Enhance, specifically the AI Accent. I consider those kind of my starting points on an image to kind of get a balanced light distribution, and basically I consider that now like my base image. So now I feel like I'm ready to kind of start editing. So the next thing up is AI structure. And in this case, I went negative, and you've seen me do this plenty of times. And that's just because I like water and skies to be a little bit softer. In this case, you have rolling waves. It's not a long exposure, so I don't want to super soften it, but I did want to soften it up. Now, you can use this filter multiple times on different layers. So I could have done a negative structure and put a gradient mask in the sky, and then come on a later layer and added AI structure again, and either increased it a little bit just for the foreground or maybe decreased it. But to me, like the waves are kind of moving and the sand is already kind of smooth, I didn't really feel the need to add any structure there. And I was actually okay with the structure going across the entire photo. My point is you can customize that with the masking tools if you need to. And then the next thing here, and I'm just kind of getting my base image still kind of going, and that is golden hour. And that gives it a nice little bit of a warm pop. I honestly think the photo looks beautiful like this, apart from the spots in the sky and things like that. But it's not very colorful, but it's a nice kind of soft, kind of gentle look, and I think it looks great. But of course, I'm not finished, but that's kind of my starting point, and I often do that where these Essentials tools and the Essentials tab, I kind of think of them as my starting point. They're kind of getting me to my base image, and then you can go into Creative and Pro and things like that to do a lot of the customization and the heavy lifting, if you will. But that's kind of how I get my base image started here on Essentials. Now I'm ready to go into the fun stuff. Okay, speaking of fun stuff, I'm going to jump straight to the Pro tab, and I'm going to go to Color Enhancer. Let me turn that on. And you can see that's really popped those sunset colors with that sky, and then the reflection in the water where it's coming down kind of there on that left half of the photo. So pretty simple stuff, brilliance and warmth, and some split color warmth. And that, if you drag it to the right, it's just kind of pumping up those warmer tones. So if I reset that, you can see it's going to be a little bit more gentle, and I was at like 25 or 26, and it's giving a little kick there, not a ton. But then I came over here to highlights in color balance, and that's in the advanced settings. So the tool looks like that. Click on advanced settings. You have shadows, midtones, highlights. I went into highlights because I knew specifically I wanted to pop the colors in the sky for that sunset sky. And I knew it was also going to impact that reflection. So I went into the cyan red, and I dragged that a little bit more to the red, and then the magenta green, I took it a little bit to the left to give it a little bit more magenta. And that, plus the split color warmth and the brilliance and warmth up here, really had a huge impact on the photo. There it is, before and after. Honestly, that color looks great, I think. I love it. But I did one more thing for color, and that is split toning. And I love split toning. This is not a huge difference, but you can see what it did. It just kind of further gave a little bit more pop to those brighter parts. And that's what's great about split toning. You can isolate the bright parts from the dark parts. In this case, the bright parts, of course, are the highlights. I picked a hue, which is kind of in the orangey realm of 29, and then a saturation level of 41. And so if I drag it like this, you can see it's going to get really crazy, which, it doesn't look that terribly bad. I mean, it's a little overdone, maybe more than a little, but I think I had it at 41. I like it like that. I think it's nice, but split toning is a great way to pop those brighter colors and give them a little bit of oomph, and I really like how it adds that to the overall photo. So one more time, there's before split toning and after. And the last couple things, just to wrap it up, the first one was Orton Effect. I've used this on a lot of photos. It's just a great filter. It's a great mood enhancer. I use type 1, the difference being, let me show you type 2. There you go, there's type 2. In fact, I'm at 40. Let me just increase this so you can see it a little bit higher. I'll just go all the way to 100. So there's type 2, really soft and a bit brighter, and type 1, not quite as soft and a little bit darker. So that's kind of, I pretty much only use type 1, but I was at 40, but it also gives a little bit of contrast, which I like. And then you can see that you can play with additional settings here. I didn't really need to. I just left it at type 1 at 40. I thought it gave a nice little pop to the photo. There's before and there's after. And the last thing was really coming back over here and adding a little bit of soft focus bright. So you can see what that did to the sky. As the name implies, it gives you a soft focus in the brighter parts of the area. That's really where it concentrates. And now this is by no means a required step, but if you look at the brighter parts of the photo, those highlights in the sky where the sun is breaking through the clouds, it's going to now get them a little bit more glow. That's the name of the tool, I guess. And a little softer and a little brighter. I mean, so it's kind of giving you all that stuff. And I only went 5, so I don't recommend going crazy, because you can do this kind of thing and it looks like, God is coming through the heavens to talk to you. At 0, it's obviously the nothing, but I was at 5, and it's just a subtle little kick. And that's one of the things is, if you have some really nice color already, and you're doing some further enhancements like Orton or Glow, things like that, it's, just doing them subtly works really well, because it's keeping you from kind of overdoing it. And that's really my edit. So there's the before and the after. The only other thing I did is I added an erased image layer, and that allowed me to get rid of some of these spots in the sky. And I got rid of a couple of these little seaweed things or whatever they are, and all the spots in the sky. So much cleaner and much better. Let me show you the before and the after. Really without doing a whole lot, just a few tools, and really not some major adjustments. I mean, a lot of my adjustments were pretty small in terms of the slider movement, but it's given me a massively different photo, and one that I'm really proud of. I think it's a beautiful shot. I think the colors look great, and I love it. So that was really it. My point is just you can do some small, simple kind of incremental moves that really, as you stack them up, they tend to have a bigger and bigger impact on the photo. And you can do some things that you may not think of, like the soft focus and maybe Orton, to give you a little extra kick. And then for color, for me, it was color enhancer and a couple of things in there like split color warmth, brilliance and warmth, and of course the color balance itself. But then split toning on top of it, even just going a small amount on split toning, gave it to me that little extra punch in the sky, which I think helped really seal the deal for me. So one more time, there's before and after. And that's it for this edit, my friends. Just a few tips and tricks I use on my sunset images. Hope it is helpful for you, and thank you for watching. I appreciate it. I'll see you again really soon with another video. Take care of yourself. Until then, my friends, take care and adios.